Hey guys, welcome back to 2017 Summer of Knives, the axe edition. Okay, so it's not exactly a knife, but they're axes and they're bladed instruments that we use all the time. And if you're somebody that lives up north or all the way down south, you probably use an axe or a hatchet at some time in your life. Specifically somebody that goes out into the woods for an extended amount of time, or somebody that is I would say an outdoorsman, or maybe you're a homesteader. You probably uses axes every single day. But I don't want to discount the guys that use axes even as a military concept. I know there is the Vietnam tomahawk that is very, very popular. I have a tomahawk here on the table as well, and we'll go over that as well. We have fighting axes, we have safety axes, or axes that you use to escape from. And there's just a number of different tools that you can use, and an axe is something I would not discount on any type of outing, whether you're just trekking through the city, you're doing a military operation, or if you are a complete woodsman. Now, my experience with axes has been very, very simple. I have not carried the tomahawk axe in combat, although I know there are some guys that did, or they're of the like. And I never needed it for a rescue mission, although I think it's ideal if you had a nice axe. And mostly what I had done is, when I lived in the burbs, what I would do is grandpa would cut down a whole bunch of trees and then give it to grandson to go and split them. And the only axe I don't have on this table is a splitting maul, which is a big chunk of steel that looks like a wedge, and that's the best thing you can use for splitting cords. And if you don't know what a cord is, it's basically about a 2-foot log that you would turn up on its side or facing you, and then you would just swing away, as they say. And I don't have that axe on here, but the idea of having an axe with you at all times certainly helps. It would not hurt, but you also have to understand that there are a lot of weight constraints, and I think that if you are someone that is in a survival situation or a survivalist, an axe is actually a great tool to have. Now, I'm going to start with the expensive ones because I know someone's going to say, oh, you gotta... Alright, so look. Gainsford Bruch, made in Sweden. Gainsford Bruch axes are some of the highest quality axes you can get. Okay? You could also get a Wetterlings, which is also made in Sweden. I think the factory is pretty much down the road. And ideally, for me, this is about the right size. Now, if you ever wanted to measure an axe for you, what you would do is essentially put this under your arm. I can't see it on the video. And then what you would do is you would cup your hand like this, and if the axe fits in between under your arm, that's ideally the axe that you want for a swinging axe, or an axe that you could use. Now, smaller axes are no less dangerous than larger axes, okay, or hatchets. So be very, very careful. What I do like about these Gainsford Bruch axe is that they are very well made. They are made in the old style tradition, and it comes with this great book. All right, it has a 20-year guarantee. You can buy these on Amazon, and it'll explain to you the responsibility of the tools, how to care for them, the different type of axes that they have. They have the hunters, the carpenters. They also have felling trees. Different ways to safely, and I say this all the time, safely use your axe. There are plenty of people with less toes today because they were not handling their axe safely. There's a whole bunch of different crafts that you can use, and this one you could see right here is a splitting maul. So as you can see, it's a big, huge, heavy thing. Now, you have the American Felling Axe, which I have up there, double bit axes, and we'll go into that a little bit. This is a great book that comes with every single Gainsford Bruch axe that you purchase. You're going to spend a lot of money. I'm telling you right now, there's very rare or very small amount of axes that come from Sweden that aren't $150 plus. So if you spend $200 on a Gainsford Bruch axe, as opposed to maybe something from Fikers that's $20, you got to understand that the quality and craftsmanship that goes in there is way different. The blade edge, everything that goes into it. Now this is a felling axe, and this is typically what you would find a lumberjack would use. It has a very large bearded head as opposed to the forest axe, and this is something you're going to go chop trees down. And as you can see, very large handle. Okay, this is a big heavy axe. This is not something I would take with me out in the field. However, if I was somebody that was going to stay out there for a long time, this would be a great camp axe. You just throw it on your ATV and call it a day. But again, pretty heavy. The sheets that come with it are pretty decent. I've never had a problem with it. A lot of people, what they do is they take this and they strap it to their belt, and it's an easy way to carry their axe around with them. This is a Husqvarna, and honestly, Husqvarna is also Swedish made, and it's probably about half the cost of a Gainsford Brooks axe, and it's actually very, very good quality. Okay, you can see it says hand forged. And if you are somebody that's looking for a Gainsford Brook axe but you can't afford it, Husqvarna is a Swedish company, and they use same style, same type of steels, and they're actually excellent and very, very sharp out of the box. All right, that's Husqvarna, and you can buy these at probably your local store, hardware store, and they'll definitely have those in there. Now, the sheath itself is not really that great. It probably will come off, but again, I know people that swear by these axes, and all the handles are hickory wood. So if you are somebody that is worried about the wood handles, they are hickory. Here's another hatchet made by Condor, and again, probably a little cheaper. All right, we're going a little cheaper here. Excellent little hatchet, lightweight. All this steel here is carbon steel. It has to be carbon steel because what you're doing is you are really slamming the hell out of these things trying to break open wood. And if you want a hatchet as opposed to an axe, Condor makes a really nice selection. And again, keep these oiled, keep them sharp. Last Gainsford Brook axe I want to talk about, and again, this is subjective. You don't really need this. This is a carpenter's axe. If you are somebody that is not felling trees, but you're actually building crafts, you probably want this. And you can see the difference in the angle and the steepness and the flatness. And what this does is it allows you to get up close and do a lot of straight cuts. So if you're, let's say, I don't know, digging out a canoe or something like that, or maybe you need straight planks, this is very, very good at using that. Now, you don't have to get the Gainsford Brook axe, but just want to show you the differences. Okay, so this is the carpenter's axe and this is the forest axe. Okay, you could see different type of styles. Okay, now I know someone's going to say it, so I'm just going to cover it real quickly. This is a forest axe, and they also have something called a hunter's axe. Same size, but the difference is on the back is it's rounded. What they do is, instead of having this square here, they round out the back edges. It's basically the same axe, but having those round edges, if you are trying to do some skinning, or I don't know, try to skin an animal or break some bones or whatever the case is, these sharp edges could damage your skins, which is why they go with a rounded butt on the back. Okay, so this is typically called the beard. And I know there's a whole bunch of nomenclature that I'm missing, but the hammer portion of these axes or hatchets are also very, very useful if you are in a camp situation, a survival situation, and you need to hammer in whatever, tent pegs, break a couple bones, whatever the case is, get into that marrow. You really can't beat that. They have all kinds of carpentry, old-timey, I would like to say, carpentry type tools up on the website, and every axe has its purpose. They are going to vary in differences. Now, the U.S. Army is no different. All right, this is a very old axe, and this was made probably in a engineer's kit for the U.S. Army, and you can tell because it even has the old clips. There's no MOLLE on this. This is a collector's item that I was able to get on eBay, and it has some slight wear on it, but ultimately it's still there. It's painted OD green, and you can see on here it says U.S. American Fork and Hoe Company, 1945. All right, So, American Fork and Hoe Company. That sounds funny, but this is the axes that they would use for the military, and I don't see any reason that if you went into a jungle environment or a wooded area, which most of the time your combat is going to be in, up until recently, we haven't had many desert conflicts, and to have a hatchet at your side for whatever you need it for. If you need to dig trenches, you need to build up some type of combat barrier, whatever the case is, there's nothing wrong with having a hatchet with you. This is Condor's. Again, I keep going back and forth to Condor because the prices are just awesome. Now, I don't know what the steel is. You probably look it up, but this is a double bit axe. All right, the handle is very large, and it has a double bit axe. And I know it's hard to see here, but these were mostly used for throwing, although the idea behind a double bit axe is if one side gets really dull, you can use the other side. One side's supposed to be for felling, which is knocking over a tree, and the other side's supposed to be for splitting of the wood. And I don't think that Condor actually created that. I think they just created, if I had to guess, I think they just created two of the same exact size. So if you are someone that is a lumberjack, you could probably tell me a little bit more about this, but ideally, if you're cutting down large amount of trees back in the days when you didn't have chainsaws, this was your chainsaw. So if this side got dull or chipped or broken, you have the other side and you just flipped it around and used it. And then, when you're sitting by the campfire, you have, your time, then you can resharpen that back up. So not bad. The only difference with this is that you alleviate that hammer. So you don't have that hammer to bang in any type of stakes or anything like that, but you could always use the side. And I think if you are someone that uses axes or tools like this in the field, I think that you should use it to every extent, not just cutting or felling trees. I want to get a little bit into the fighting axes, or what we would typically call tomahawks. This is a tomahawk. I think I got this at Cabela's, believe it or not. All right, so it has a really nice sheath. This says Cabela's on it. And I don't really know who makes it. Like, it is a carbon steel. What's great about these is that this is the traditional fighting axe. You could also use it to process wood. You could use it for multiple reasons. It doesn't come with a very sharp edge, so you have to reprofile that. The handles themselves were usually very light and very long, because if you wanted to throw this axe, it's going to be very easy to do as opposed to some of those felling axes. And I think in the colonial wars they probably threw more axes or fought with these, and these things are very wieldy. I definitely would not want to get hit with one of these, and you could just stick it inside your belt and call it good. It does work without a, I know I call it a nail or a pin, but there's a technical word for that to split this apart. But what you can do is, if your handle breaks in the field, you can just carve another handle, stick it in here, put it back together and call it good. So it's a very universal tool, and I know for a fact that these were very prized with mountain men. So if you were a mountain man back in the day, you probably had a hatchet. It was good for dressing game, it was good for throwing in competitions, and it was just good for overall wood processing. Let's talk about other fighting blades. All right, this is the SOG. This is a double-edged, and I guess, yep, this is typically made for throwing. Now, SOG on their website pretty much says that this is ideal for throwing, and I think you are correct. This is an axe specifically made for killing enemy. I do not know how good it does for processing wood, because honestly I don't think it's really made for that. The handle is plastic, so it's very light and it's very head heavy, and that allows it to spin correctly. And I think people that have thrown these that are complete amateurs do very well at throwing them because of the weight balance. This is a very head heavy and balanced type of fighting axe, and I got this mostly because it's really cool, and I think that if you are someone that's going over to Afghanistan or whatever the case and you want to be the American Viking, I think that this would scare the crap pretty much out of anybody, and you could leave that up to your decision or your command. But I think that that's an excellent fighting axe. Now it does come with a belt loop, so there's no MOLLE attachments. You'll probably have to figure out a way to rig this up. All right, so you can. It does have grommets with holes in it, so you can definitely do that. Originally, the SOG came out in this. This is the, I want to say, the original Vietnam Tomahawk. SOG actually used that design, and that's what this is. This isn't the wooden and metal one. This is the metal and polymer with the longer handle. They do have one with a shorter handle. They also have a Kydex sheath now that you can purchase, and ideally that's what this is. This is a fighting tomahawk. A little bit different design than the traditional one, and the plastic handle makes it nice and light, and this is a very sharp killing implement, pretty much. They do have a little bit of texture here, so if you wanted to use it to pound in steaks, you can. This is a military fighting axe. That's really what it is. You're not going to use this for a lot of other items, just specifically for that. And I do hear that if you throw this axe and you get good at it, it's very easy to do. This thing is very, very sharp, and you would not go wrong if you were in the military again and you wanted to go take this out to the desert. I'm pretty sure people would run the other way if they saw you wielding this. Again, crazy American Viking. Now, the next batch of axes that I'm going to go over is typically used for either a survival situation or a rescue situation. And it's usually a hatchet. It's usually something that is small. Now, when I say rescue, I mean what was happening in a couple wars past was the air crew was getting crushed and they couldn't get out of their airplanes. So like if they crash landed, something happened where they survived the crash, they weren't able to quote unquote can opener their way out of the side of the airplanes, and they came up with a couple axes that were able to do that, and that's this one right here. All right, this one has been modified. Excuse me. If you are unfamiliar with it, or if you think that you know better, then please put the comments down below. But to my knowledge, the old World War II aircrafts were made out of aluminum, light-skinned aluminum, so they were able to fly, but you can still punch a hole in them with pretty much anything, a knife or whatever the case. Now, this is Ontario, USA. This is called the Spec Plus or Spax. It is, I believe, 1095, and it's really cool because it is MOLLE capable. This is designed specifically as a rescue axe or a survival axe. So if you did crash land, you would not go wrong with something like this. A couple things, it has a pry chisel on here, which is really nice. So if you need to get in there and pry it out, you can, and it also has a spike on the end. The blade shape itself is mostly for chopping, obviously. You can use it for other items. It does have this nice round edge that will allow you for prying. This right here, this weird shaped angle, will work pretty much for anything. So there's a square right here. I think it's made for either oxygen bottles or some type of square. It will also fit a large nut right here. I think you can even open fire hydrants with this. I'm not really sure all the specs. You can take a look at it on the website, but it is a small, handy survival hatchet. Nice craton handle. It does come with a lanyard, and the sheath itself, to me, is outstanding. If you ever got caught somewhere, maybe on a train, maybe the train crashed, or in a plane, in an airplane, if you are an Alaskan field guide, I would definitely have one of these inside my aircraft. All right, again, you could use it for pretty much anything. Great piece of kit. Now Ontario again also made this one, which I think is really convenient. This is a hatchet. This is the RD Hawk 2 Ontario Knife Company. This is available on Amazon. You can get it, and I think they lightened this stuff up. a little bit by putting holes in here, and you could latch it to things if you really wanted to make it a larger axe. It has the spike in the back, and it has a small beard. And ideally, this is really nice for a survival hatchet. Okay, it's good enough or big enough to process wood or game if you need to. It is a one-handed model. The scales on here are very comfortable. It does have ridges on the pommel and the back and a lanyard loop. So ideally, this is a really nice hatchet for any type of survival needs. The sheath itself is done very well. This has Velcro, which I wish they would have incorporated a button snap, but you can put your belt through there. And the way that this slips in makes it really easy to snap it in and snap it together. And it's really nice small package. Okay, so if you need a small hatchet for your bug out kit, this is definitely nice. Now, CKRT, excellent. And again, these are just some of the companies that I had. I know in my other videos, a lot of people are asking for charades and stuff like that. I don't have any of that stuff. If you have one and you want to do a video, by all means, please do. Show me some things and teach me. These are just the items that I have. So, if you are somewhere in the market for some type of small survival hatchet, you can't go wrong. This is a CRKT. They call it the Kangji T-Hawk. And this is what I mean by small survival hatchets. Now, they're not overly heavy. They're not a wood axe. But if you got into a jam and you needed something a little bit more robust than a knife, you probably would not go wrong with this. This one I opted has the spike on the end. There is one that is flat, so you can use it as a hammer, but being that this is only 1/4 of an inch thick, you're probably going to miss a lot. SK5 carbon steel. I like the bright orange handle scales. They do have this in black if you want to be completely tactical. It has a sharp edge on the bottom, sharp beard, and sharp top. I don't know if you can see that right there. And everything is pretty much sharp. So that's why you have to have this Kydex sheath. So you can use it for digging, you could use it for chopping, you could use it for skinning, you could use it pretty much for anything. You just have to be extremely careful if you're going to use it for close up work, because everything on here is sharpened. So again, the sheath itself is really cool. Works very well. Has this snap right here. Alright, it is a Kydex, and it does come with the strapping, so if you needed to carry it around your waist you could, or carry it around your shoulder. It does have attachments for any type of belt clips and stuff like that, so really cool. Again, if you were looking for something that is a survival hatchet, or something that you want to put in your bug out kit and you didn't want to carry a woods axe, any of these would be great. So thanks again, guys. Please go to threeriverblades.com. Stay tuned for more summer knives of 2017, and talk to you soon. Go to threeriverblades.com.